Pitch it. Pitch it real good.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Pitch It with David and Richard.
That's me.
All right. So just another for those of you who are tuning in for this for the first time again. Hey, Richard, you want to kind of fill them in?
So the premise of our show is we take movies that we either didn't like or we thought could have done better or we were deeply offended by, and we try to pitch a better version, discuss it. Maybe I disagree or not. Maybe David disagrees, and we try to make a better movie and point out the flaws and try to have a good time and see how many words I can't pronounce. That's my new favorite game. Because I don't know about you, David, but I've heard myself like how many episodes, 3 episodes that we've done,
Yeah.
and I realized I really can't talk. I can't pronounce simple words.
Guess we got to put that into practice.
Yes, or that could be a new drinking game. Every time Richard mispronounces a word, you take a shot.
All right. So today, what have we got today? Today, I will be bringing you my pitch on an 80s classic, The Neverending Story.
Turn around, look at what you see. Oh, it's such a good movie.
It's a classic.
I don't know why you want to do this movie. I think this honestly is a great movie.
Well, I mean, that's why I want to redo it. Just the way that everybody wants to do remakes these days, because with technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like this movie, because of the contents of it and like what it presents, I feel like it can be brought to another level with technology. Because I feel like, watching it has that nice homey feel to it, and it's good.
It does.
But yeah, they should have taken the James Cameron approach and just waited for technology to catch up.
I'm sorry. As soon as you said that, I thought of like the 20 Avatar sequels that he's gonna put out.
Oh yeah.
So let me give us a short synopsis of what this film is on, and I'm gonna challenge myself and give myself like 2 minutes to give the synopsis. So David or audience. So there's this little boy. His name is Bastion. And we don't know how or why, his mother is dead, and he is this nerdy little boy that likes to read books. His head's in a cloud, and his father, who's definitely a sociopath, is for breakfast he eats eggs blended with orange juice. He's definitely killed his mother.
Yeah, that's
he
weird.
tells him that, oh, I've heard that you are not paying attention to math class. You didn't try out for swimming. You need to get your heads out of the clouds and just do your work. And what do you call it? He says, stop daydreaming and start facing your problems. You see, on his way to work, the boy Bastion on his way to work, not to work, he's a kid, go to school, he's bullied by kids, he's thrown in a dumpster, he gets out of the dumpsters and he gets chased again, and he hides inside his bookshop, and this old bookkeeper shop is telling about how kids these days don't like books, and the boy's like, no, I love books, I love this book and that book, and the man is reading this book called The Neverending Story, and how this book is a special book, and that he is very dangerous, that he shouldn't read it. So this kid Bastion straight up steals the book, and when this old guy is in it and leaves a little note saying, oh, I'll bring it back, and it's such a weird thing. He goes to school, finds out he's late for school, obviously, finds out they're taking a math test, which he did not know about. I don't know how you don't know about a math test that you have happening. Goes to the attic and reads this book and finds it a very, very special book, where he realizes, oh, this world of Fantasia is slowly being destroyed by this thing called the Nothing. And the only way to defeat the Nothing is through the childlike empress. But the problem is that she has this illness and they need to find a cure. So they use this young warrior boy named Atreyu. And to find this problem, he goes and he meets colorful characters, a giant turtle. He's hunted by a giant wolf and all these things. He finds the fluffiest and most amazing dragon named, what's his name? Falkor. Oh my goodness, Falkor.
It's like a giant Shih Tzu.
No, he's more amazing than that. He's like a giant like a labradoodle, and just amazing. Like we'll talk about that. And eventually he goes to a sphinx. What are they called? The sorcerers?
The sorcerer. Yeah, the Southern Oracle.
The Southern Oracle, yes. And they found the cures. They need to go to the outskirts of Fantasia, find a human child, and they need to give the Empress a new name, and eventually, what do you call it? Atreyu and Falkor gets separated, and Atreyu goes to this temple and finds his paintings of his whole life of how he lost his horse and all the journeys he's gone through, and he's confused. He faces he faces the wolf, kills it, and eventually he fails, and Fantasia is destroyed. Goes back into the temple, and he realizes that he actually succeeded the whole time. He did bring the child, and this human child is Bastion, the boy that's reading it. And eventually, the whole world gets destroyed, and it has a very Wizard of Oz approach where, like, oh, the way back home was with you the whole time, and eventually, Bastion gives the girl, the Empress, a new name. He wishes Fantasia to come back, and he chases the bullies in the end with Falkor. And that's pretty much like the synopsis and the whole summary of the movie.
Yeah, essentially.
Sorry, that was definitely over 2 minutes long.
No, that's good. You should actually. That was a pretty good synopsis. You actually should probably give the synopsis for everything going forward.
maybe. Oh man.
So,
David, I don't know why you chose this movie. This is a great movie.
So yes, it was, and it is, and it's still a classic. Don't get me wrong. Yes, we like to say that we like to repitch bad movies, but I feel like, from time to time, good movies, deserve a remake too. Good movies deserve to catch up with our time and kind of catch up with our technology and gain the visual effects that it deserves.
I disagree with you there, but go on.
Because if this is a world of fantasy, one of the things, there's like, for the most part, I don't want to change a lot of the movie. I do want to give it, that element of fantasy for this movie, though. Like, kind of let the world be painted a little bit more. Give it a little bit more, not heavy, CGI heavy, but like,
an upgrade.
An upgrade.
So, first things first. What are some things about this movie that you liked?
I liked, well, for the most part, the just the core of the story and what it was about. I think it's really important.
Mm-hmm. I like that too.
Yeah, because the whole idea is that it's like it's on each person, or as a reader, people who love books, and it's about the death of imagination and creativity, your dreams, things like that.
Literally, the bad guy in this is not a person, but it's this figurative thing called the nothing.
Right. And I appreciate that, as somebody who's into movies and into writing and things like that, just being apathetic about that and not going towards your goals is just life ending in a sense. So that element of it, that whole core feeling of the movie, is definitely what I really, really like about this movie. The other parts of the movie that I loved was definitely, although the effects were very 80s, but I appreciate that.
Oh, it has its
like
charm.
the puppetry and everything. It's got that whole,
the Jim Henson puppets.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they were Jim Henson, but they were. No,
they weren't. Okay,
they definitely weren't.
They looked so real. I don't think CG. Maybe nowadays, but it looked like when they were at the White Tower. It's definitely not called the White Tower.
The Ivory Tower.
The Ivory Tower, and they were surrounded by these crazy looking people and beings. Like, they look real. They're like legit.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, those were probably like.
They looked amazing.
Those were probably costume people.
Yeah. You know who I realized was in this movie? Have you seen the Johnny Depp Willy Wonka movie recently? Not recently, but like what, 5 years ago?
Oh yeah.
The Oompa Loompa was the guy raiding the snail.
Oh, that's him?
Yeah, that's him. It's the same person. I guess he's like a famous like actor or comedian, and they just happen to have him there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. He doesn't look like he's aged that much.
No, he hasn't. He looks exactly the same. Yeah.
So I mean, other things I appreciated were
I mean, for me, I enjoyed that it didn't really hold your hand. Like, it went into some depressing stuff. Like,
no, definitely, that's one of the good parts about it. Like the fact that ultimately Bastion fails.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, he fails.
And on the way, this child like gets beaten up bad. He loses his like best friend, his horse, Atreyu. I'm gonna put up in a link when his horse dies in this swamp, like swamp of depression, or is it
What is that?
swamp of
It's called,
sadness?
yeah, the pit of sadness or
Like
something like
if
that.
you're sad and if you don't get out of it, you will drown, and it is literally the most depressing thing. And you just see Atreyu just calling out his horse, like, "You stupid horse, get out! Stop being depressed!" And it is heartbreak. David, I watched it. I finished this movie this morning. I was literally crying as I ate breakfast.
Yes, that is definitely probably the one scene that anybody and everybody who watched this movie
It's gonna
remembers.
remember. I'm gonna definitely put
Yes.
that in the description so you can all cry with me at the same time.
Let's see. But I guess those are the main factors that I did appreciate for this movie.
Hmm.
Let's see. Going into what I didn't really like.
Mm.
Yeah, one of the main things I caught me off guard was the dad.
Oh yeah,
When
the psychopath,
Yeah,
the
when
murderer.
it's not even just like
He
him.
definitely killed his mother.
Yeah.
The father definitely killed the mother.
I
Sorry.
mean, he looks like the Mindhunter killer, so
Mhm.
I can't really argue with that. So maybe.
And again, I want to reiterate how I know he's a murderer. For breakfast, he opens a blender, puts eggs and orange juice, and drinks that in front of his son, and tells him to stop daydreaming.
Yes. Other than that, if he didn't do that, I would be fine. It was just the fact that he decided to put the egg in the orange juice.
It was so weird. I was like, it's literally like the second scene in the movie, and I was so confused. I'm like, wait, why?
But other than that, the other main thing that I kind of like, I didn't really think was great was just like small things like they recycled like the what was it, the two statues when they went to go see the oracle.
Wasn't those statues the Oracle, the Sphinx?
But then like when Atreyu first goes to it and
Yeah.
gets past it, it's the same exact
It's the
one
same-
when he gets to the oracles. And I'm just like, what the heck?
Yeah.
They couldn't do something a little bit different for the first one or the second one. So like that whole aspect of it like was just like, all right, it's like they didn't have money or something. And
I personally think the director, whoever, really liked the design of the Sphinx.
oh yeah,
And why do you think he liked the design of the Sphinx,
just
David?
giant boobs everywhere.
I'm like, it was the most distracting. I've read that but this was originally a book,
right, yeah.
The Neverending Story, and the author hated that the Sphinx had giant boobs.
Oh yeah, that was the main reason why he hated the whole
Yeah.
movie.
It was extreme. Like I realized, like, oh, this is like the not charm of the 80s movies, but like you can't get away with stuff like this
No,
in today.
definitely not.
You know?
Oh, even the stuff like killing the horse.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, that like trying to train a horse to drown.
Wait, let me tell you some facts. Like, again, like David was saying, like the things you cannot get away. Like this film was filmed in Germany and in the 80s, and like regulations and laws were definitely a lot more lean. Like it took. This movie was supposed to shoot for only 3 months. It took over a year to shoot.
Right.
And the boy, no, Atreyu, was hurt multiple times. While learning how to ride a horse, he got thrown off and stepped on by the horse. While filming the drowning scene in the Swamp of Sadness, he was caught in the elevator, pulled down, and when he was taken out, he was unconscious at the time. When he was fighting the giant wolf thingy, it literally fell on him. It was so heavy, it took his breath away, and it knocked the wind out of him. And that only filmed that once, so that's why that fighting scene was super awkward. Oh wait, and it took the horse like 7 weeks to stay still. So like for horses, they're not gonna voluntarily drown. They're gonna want to get out. But
yeah, if it was made now, PETA would be all over
no,
this
for
movie.
sure.
This would have been shut down immediately.
it would not go.
So, and other than that, the other aspect I thought was kind of weird was for the ending, the whole cure to this empress, what it ended up being was she needed a new name.
Oh yeah.
All right, that's cool. I get it.
What was the name, David, that Bastion gives him? Gives her?
Moon Child.
What
I repeat, Moon Child.
What's so significant about Moonchild?
I don't know. It just sounds like it came.
Where did he come up with his name?
Right. So apparently this was his mother's name. His mother's name
Was Moonchild.
She was definitely given birth at Woodstock or
Oh,
something.
for sure.
So yeah, I don't know. That maybe it was cool in the 80s, but like I was just like, what?
I was so confused because like you see, like, there's this doesn't come up from nowhere. Like you find out first that a human boy needs to give the empress a name, and you see Bastion while reading this like, oh, I wish that human boy was me. I'll give him my mother's name. She has such a wonderful name. And when the audience and I hear,
You're
but see,
just thinking like Martha,
yeah, yeah. Oh my
Mary.
gosh, please do not bring up Batman vs Superman. But he screams Moonchild out in the storm, just yelling Moonchild. You can't really hear him clearly, but you know his name is Moonchild, which is like that's such a weird thing to focus on. But okay, go on.
So that was the other aspect that kind of bothered me.
Mm-hmm.
But the to get on a more serious note, one of the as a movie, I felt like there was not a lot of connecting factors to it. Everything just kind of started happening.
Oh yeah,
Like there's no explanations or like drawbacks to whatever was said. I mean, I get that this was made in the 80s and that type of storytelling and movie making was very common. You know, a lot of the movies in that era
just happened.
just yeah, things just happen.
There's no
like,
explanation to it.
I mean, yeah, like think movies like Indiana Jones, one of my favorites.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, like it just kind of like everything just kind of happens in that
Yeah,
movie.
there's like
I
no
get it.
reason. Like Indiana Jones didn't really need to be in it because the Nazi would have died anyway. Stuff like
Right.
that.
So for this one, I mean, that's watching it in today's era. I thought maybe, you know, there should be a little bit connecting factor. There shouldn't be wasted seconds. You know, it should all kind of bring itself to a close within itself.
I do agree. There were a lot of open-ended stuff that
Right.
you have no closure for. Like Bastion, the boy that's reading the book, never finds any closure with the father that is not dealing with
Right.
is not properly dealing with his child's grief, or Bastion never returns the book. He straight up steals it.
Right. And like you don't even really see Bastion like
Standing up for himself.
standing up for himself or coming back into the real world and becoming a changed person. It's
I
just,
think he does when he flies with Falkor and chases the bullies.
but that's more like, is that the book or is that him reading the book?
I think, let me bring it up there. He died in the beginning of the movie when
Bastion?
Bastion when he was put in the dump. This is my pitch.
This
This
is-
is my dark pitch.
That's,
This movie, it happens all in this dream. He's in a coma after the kids throw him in a dumpster. He hits his head, and all this is going inside his head. The wolf represents his father that's very chasing him down, seeking control. Falkor is his innocence. Atreyu is his. It's his. What do you call it? It's who he wants to be. How he wants to defend himself. He wants to be a hero, and this is all in the coma. And how the movie would end.
that just sounds like an episode of Rick and Morty.
Oh my gosh, it is. It is definitely an
It's
episode of Rick
that-
and Morty.
It's like what's the episode where he plays that VR game?
Yes,
living that whole life,
yeah.
and then it ends up not being real.
I think this is all in his head.
That's a little dark.
Okay, that is
But-
very dark. Oh, you know how I want my pitch to end?
Oh.
Bastion flatlining and he dies, and that's how the movie ends.
Jeez,
Did I just
that's
come
like-
up with the darkest pitch in the world?
That's
Yes,
like,
I did.
Wow, that is wow.
I'm sorry, David. I just thought of it. I think
mean,
that would have been hilarious.
Maybe Dan Harmon would appreciate that one. Maybe he will
Mm-hmm.
use it for one of his episodes. All right, but
Yeah, so David, what's your pitch?
so my pitch, you know, I wouldn't change a whole lot of this movie. Like I said, it's a classic, and I want to keep its core at its core. Keep most of it similar, but in my pitch, I would say that for the first quarter of the movie, definitely show the elements of Sebastian, the relationship between his father, keep that in still. But at the same time, involve, because like I said, this whole movie's about a book and like things like that. And one of the reasons why I think it would fit well into today's era is the fact that nobody really reads books anymore.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So just that whole element of it, how technology is now today, but how this kid, you know, who's kind of like outcast, still out there reading books and all that. Still
Hmm.
keep the bullying aspect of it. Um, when he gets to the bookstore, though, I kind of want him to have that a more of an established relationship with that shopkeeper.
Oh, kind of like Belle and Beauty and the Beast, like they know each other.
Uh, Not like that, but yes, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like kind of relationship. Yeah, yeah, I see, I
Right,
see.
yeah. Like they've already had that relationship. Like Bastion, this is where he gets all of his book knowledge from. Like this
Ah,
is
I
the
see, I
man that
see.
kind of catered
This
him
is his book
into.
dealer.
Exactly. Yes, this is his book dealer.
Okay, interesting.
Um, so like up until like the whole bullying part of it, I do want to keep that aspect. But kind of create a little bit more of a closer relationship with the shopkeeper and Bastion.
I see.
Um, and do have like the same thing though, where Bastion is able to take the book.
Oh, he still steals the book?
I'll let him still steal it. Leave that. Did he leave? He left a note, right?
Yeah, he left.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll keep
sorry, I
that.
returned it.
I'll
Something like
keep
that.
that still a little same thing, but it's a little better since in this one he's gonna have that relationship with them.
Is it better? I feel like it'd be worse that he steals from like a friend or like a person that he admires. But go on.
Um, and then what is it? So have him still go to school, realize he's still missed tests, things like that. But instead of him conveniently being able to access school attic and things
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that, I'll have him come back home, where it's gonna be empty for the few days, because I do want the dad to kind of still have that distant relationship,
Mm-hmm.
where his dad is also coping with the death of his mother by being an over workaholic.
Mm-hmm.
So
Trying to find control and something like that. All right, that'd be interesting.
exactly, and so where the dad, he's gonna be gone for a few days for a business trip or some element like that. So the Bastion is able to come back home, and that's where he's able to start off his journey. So that would be like the first quarter of the movie, and the way we jump into the world of Fantasia, I wanted to open up with the nothing. You see the nothing first, kind of just consuming
Okay.
bits and pieces of this village. Um, I'm just trying to add in a little bit more elements of the book to this movie as well.
All right, that'd be
So
good.
one of the things that the book off or kind of tells is how one of the villages people start willingly give themselves up to the nothing.
Oh, it's kind of
Just
like a, oh, what's the point?
Yeah,
What's the point of running
exactly.
away?
Like
I'm
they
just
just
gonna
kind of
start.
like kill themselves in a
Oh,
sense. Like
that's so much darker than mine. Okay, go on, go on.
so, I kind of like that kind of aspect to it. Open
Mm.
up on that and kind of show all that chaos going on when in Fantasia, and then we open up to Atreyu waking up.
Oh, okay.
He wakes up, kind of almost as if he was dreaming that whole thing. And he goes off, but he wakes up, goes off. Oh yeah, this was the other thing too. One of the things that bothered me was that not really bothered me, but it,
Irked.
Artax kind of just that whole scene just happens way too
Oh,
quickly.
it does.
Like as immediately after
You don't know
Atreyu
anything
gets
about this horse. You know, oh, there's this friendly.
yeah. So so like to show kind of the side of Atreyu, show what he has really to offer for this whole adventure. I kind of want to show the warrior side of him. So have him live out like the morning, him going off hunting, being a warrior, doing things with this horse, uh, um, before he's called by whatever, like some type of messenger or something to the Empress.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so and other aspects of it definitely. So I would have Atreyu kind of, he's going off hunting or something, hunts for food.
So more backstory of who he is.
Yeah, a little bit more backstory to it. And then he's able to fight off these people who are trying to, harm him and things like that. Show him that warrior side. Really show the character. And also be able somehow to tie in that bond between him and that horse. because that horse is still gonna die in this movie.
He better. He's the
Yeah.
one of the best parts of the movie.
But after that whole being able to show that with Atreyu and his character, um, he starts to see the nothing approaching in the distance as well. And then that's when he sees, let's say, like some type of like some messenger being, thing, bird, whatever,
Okay.
kind of comes and he knows that it's the Empress calling him. So he takes Artax and he starts riding off. And then I still want to keep the whole rock biter scene, all that
The
stuff.
rock biters. Wait, what part of the rock biter? So
I
the
mean,
rock biters.
both of them. Like when he first introduced running,
yes.
like he's about to run through and he meets those other characters.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of bring that up as well. Like have him introduce like what the nothing is a little bit more. Like how that even a creature as big as him
is afraid of
this thing.
Okay.
So kind of show that as well, and then have this little group of characters still traveling to the ivory tower where everybody else is.
Okay.
And now we get to the ivory tower. I think we should be shown the Empress.
Right away?
Right away.
That it's a child?
Yeah. I think we should be presented to her, but and she tells the whatever, I guess we'll call him a priest dude who
I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
The only African American dude in this movie, but go on.
So she tells the priest dude that, I've summoned a warrior to help fight this nothing, to help find a cure for me.
Yeah.
And all that. Kind of cut that scene in there. And then we cut
I like that scene a lot. That's when you first introduced to Atreyu.
Right,
and everyone like saying like, "Oh, he's just a kid. Why are you here?" Like,
right,
we wanted the warrior. And they're like, "I am that warrior." And it's like, oh, like that makes Bastion and the audience like, oh, like if this kid is that warrior, then I could be a warrior too. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so I want to keep that element of it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Show everybody's kind of, because they throw doubt on him. They throw kind of shade on him for being a kid and all that stuff. Yeah, but like he's also on the other side. He's like, yeah, if you don't need me, I'm just gonna get out of here.
I see.
But so he keep that element of it. Keep the although it's kind of useless until the end. We gotta have the Orin, the medallion.
Oh, what does the medallion do? The Orin?
So the Orin is supposed to protect him from all dangers and stuff like that.
And the movie has not protected him once.
Not at all.
He literally gets thrown off from a tree from a sneezing turtle, attacked by a wolf. He gets thrown around, laser shot at him. This Orin does nothing.
Right. So I mean, it only comes into play at the end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But we'll get to that.
Okay.
So the keep that in, kind of show him going off, trying to venture through. I guess add in a little more scenes where he's. This is where I'm saying that I kind of want to show more of Fantasia. Add him like going into like showing different villages or something.
More characters.
Show this imagination world.
I do agree. Like the only time you see different parts of the world is like green screen cutouts of when Atreyu is like flying with Falkor.
It's very limited. I mean, it's almost like the nothing already killed everything.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but. So I do want to show that there's, this whole vast land that's there, kind of show that the way that Peter Jackson was able to show Middle Earth.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, I want that for this movie as a fantasy movie.
Okay, I see.
Like that's what I mean by like it deserves that. So have that, and then in that whole sense, it still brings you that connection between the horse and Atreyu.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll bring in, still keeping that scene at the Pit of Sadness.
When the when the horse dies.
when the horse,
The most
yeah.
traumatic.
Mm.
I think that's one of the reasons why I don't like I'm afraid of quicksand or drowning. But
Ah,
as a kid, I was too young when this movie came out. But I
interesting.
remember like because I think a lot of people my age were raised by TV because our parents were busy working, and I remember very specific clips of this movie very well. And the horse slowly drowning and the Atreyu crying for him to be free has scarred me forever. That's definitely one of the reasons why I'm terrified of drowning.
Oh, look at that. Pitch it. You're a local therapist.
This is the time where I'm gonna slowly just go into my psyche and just deal with my
Just
issues.
unfold everything.
Oh yeah.
um, so we're gonna keep that aspect of it. Have Artax die, but we'll have, instead of having Falkor just come in and swoop up Atreyu like it was nothing,
Yeah.
we'll have Atreyu kind of show a willingness and strong will to be able to fight for
Okay.
himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna get out of the pit of sadness and he goes off to the next closest village or something. And another element of the book, so to kind of paint a picture, two aspects of there's two main scenes that the original movie wanted, but they couldn't due to technology reasons. They couldn't
Mm-hmm.
like pull it off, and one of them was the main the main scene where Falkor and Atreyu are able to meet, and that's when Falkor, I believe, is caught up in like some kind of fight or caught up with a shape shifting being.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do want to add that. I think that would be
So an
cool.
epic fighting scene.
Epic fighting scene. Atreus sees this happening. He goes to help him. Yeah, actually, this could be a good scene to show that the Orin is not totally useless. So like he's able to go there and help him out with the power of the Orin or
What does
something.
he shoot like a giant laser and destroys the?
No, not that. Just the fact that the simple fact that it helps him and protects him and guides him.
Okay. All right.
So like he's
Interesting.
able to make the right decisions and able to do the things that he needs to help this luck dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where we start to build a connection between Falkor and Atreyu. Um, and then we'll still have him go off, flying towards the southern oracle,
Mm-hmm.
trying to find that answer and all that. Um, less boobies.
From the
No,
Sphinxes.
no boobies for the
Yeah.
Sphinxes in this one. But still show him go through trials. I want to definitely extend those scenes.
And the trials that he goes through are fascinating. Like the first trial is what do you call it?
Like
It's
the courage, or like,
it show like if you have any doubt in yourself,
yeah,
you'll
yeah,
be
yeah.
struck down and die. And the second one is a mirror where you see your true self.
Right.
The scientist that was explaining to him saying that, oh, brave men see that they have they're actually afraid, or like people like that, or like
Right.
innocent people see they're actually evil. I'm like, oh wow, that's actually like again, that's why I really like this movie. I'm like, it has a nuance that you don't really see today. Like you can't really pull off today because if you see a movie that says like, "Oh, look at this mirror, it shows your true self," you'll roll your eyes, be like, "Oh, that's so cliche." But because this is in the '80s, like, oh wow, like I really believe that. That's like so genuine.
So yeah, that is also. But one of the things that bothered me for that scene, I feel like it just kind of happened way too quickly.
Oh, for sure.
Like he just jumps through and then he goes through the mirror like way too quickly. I kind of want to like kind of drag that out a little bit.
I
Like
see.
when you
mean-
actually have self doubt, you don't conquer it like that very like quickly. So kind of like get that in there.
It's more subtlety, more like
Yeah,
expanding out the scenes.
more expand that out. When he gets to the Southern Oracle, that whole scene I definitely want to still keep where they explain, um, the Empress needs a new name. That's the cure. I still keep that element in there.
What's your name, David, that you're gonna use instead of Moonchild, or you're gonna keep Moonchild?
I thought about that for a long time,
It's your pitch. You better have a name.
and I think I'm just gonna keep it with Moonchild, just because like it's such a like it.
It's
I
just so
can't
stupid.
change that. It's so dumb, but like, it's one of those
Okay,
things where
that's
I
the
can't.
one thing you're not gonna change. The name of. Okay, all right, go on.
I mean, no, I'm still keeping to the entire the
All right, all
rest
right.
of the
I see. I
movie.
see.
You know.
It's a terrible name. If your name is Moonchild and you're listening, I do apologize.
But
But
I won't. I won't make it because it's the Bastion's mother's name. Like
I think
that's
that's a great part.
that's
Isn't this whole? As an adult, as I'm watching this movie, I feel like this is how Bastion is getting over his grieving of his mother.
like it's a whole connection to his
Yeah, like
life.
that's what it is. Like, it's a side note, Dave, but like the horse dying because of sadness. Like my own theory is that the mother, maybe she took her own life, or maybe she actually died because of sadness herself,
Mm,
and that's why this child is so taken aback by it because his mother died a similar way. And I feel like this journey, because everyone in the world is telling his father's telling him, stop it, move on, get on with your life, do what you
right.
have to do. But I feel like kind of like an up, not up. What's the Pixar movie of all the emotions again? My favorite one.
Oh, wow. It's
Why is that with
Inside
all
Out.
Inside Out? Like the plot is like, it's okay to grieve and
Right. It's
imagine
like sadness can
a
be
good thing.
a
Like
good
I feel
thing.
like that's what's so great about this movie. But sorry, go on.
Right.
So you keep the name Moonchild.
Or keep the name Moonchild somehow, or give it not give it not Moonchild, but like what I don't even know what like a different name for Moonchild is would be like
Son mother.
what's the German for Moonchild, like what would be a German word for Moonchild
All
type
right,
of
I'm
thing.
gonna look it up while you keep on
All
telling
right.
your pitch.
So to keep that going, where was I on the pitch? He gets the name, like he finds out that the cure is to give the Empress a name, goes off. The other scene that the movie originally wanted was so in this movie, Falkor and Atreyu end up getting brushed up with the nothing, and that's where they lose connection, and that's where Atreyu loses the Orin, and he ends up on a beach and all that.
Yeah.
Um, but in the book, it was more so they were fighting these the like I guess agents of the nothing, like
More
elements,
monsters.
more like Titan element type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I want to do it more like that, because if they're just gonna go up against the nothing, then they're gonna lose.
I
Like
see.
the nothing is just the nothing. It's like meant to just consume everything. There's no way they would have actually escaped that, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So the other aspect of it with new tech, I think we'd be able to add in like more creatures for that work for the nothing.
All right. All right.
Um, and then from this point, I would definitely. This is where I would start to bring in the wolf a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more.
An agent of the
Yeah,
nothing.
another agent of the nothing. Um, and have him in an encounter with Treyu where he still has that conversation about what the nothing is and what it means to like how it like ties into like having no hope or being empathetic of like their surroundings and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that whole thing I think is definitely still needs to happen. Atreyu, this is where Atreyu fights him,
Fights the wolf.
fights the wolf. Um, Make that into a little cool Leonidas wolf fighting scene, like in what's it called 300.
Oh yeah, where he shoves a knife
Yeah.
up the back, the bottom of the wolf.
And then he's Falkor.
What's Falkor doing this whole time?
Oh man, in the movie he's
He's looking
for
for.
the Orin, the medallion. I guess we'll just keep that going in because
All right. It sounds like.
actually no, screw it. I'm gonna let what's his name Atreyu still hold on to that, because
Uh,
that is gonna be the what helps him fight
the wolf.
the wolf,
Okay.
and that's
Okay.
gonna it's actually serving its purpose
All
throughout
right.
the story. But I'm after they get separated, Falcor's able to find him, and then he goes off to the ivory tower again.
All right.
and because he doesn't realize, or he
At
has,
this point, is Fantasia completely destroyed, or is it still
it's
intact?
on the verge.
Okay,
It's
still
on
on
the
the verge
verge.
of being
So
destroyed.
like one of Atreyu's thoughts is, oh, like she just needs a new name. So he's gonna go
And just give her a name.
try to do that, or try to like
Can you give her the horse's name?
it's
Your name is the same name as my horse.
like, yes, he's died. Don't let him die for nothing, type of thing. But no, he goes there and tries to save her. Maybe in a sense, he's beginning to lose hope too. At Treyu, because
Okay.
like he sees this nothing starting to consume everything. It's starting to become almost unstoppable.
I see.
Um, and then he goes to the Empress, and tries to save her by physically taking her and try to fly as far away with
I see.
Falkor
I
as
see. So like
possible.
running, like, literally running away from.
Literally running away. And so this is another element of the book that I kind of want to keep in, where it's kind of like it's very circular in the book. What is it? The book is, it's truly a never-ending story, because as Bastion keeps reading the book, he notices that he fails, and it's because of himself, like not truly
Mm-hmm.
being able to give the name.
Yeah. I don't know if you picked it up, but I think what was so interesting about in the movie that talks about not only Bastion reading the book, but us. But like she looks directly into the camera, as even the audience
Oh
that's
yes,
listening.
yes,
Like that's like another layer to this never-ending story, which I'm
right.
like, yo, this movie's mad deep. But go on, go on.
So I definitely keep that in, and so factor, I want to throw in that whole kind of like making an inception kind of feel, where like
It just
it's
keeps
kind of,
going.
it keeps going, it's like
Oh, I can see
circling,
that being popular.
and then it gets to the point where how I would do that is when the Empress and Atreyu, they're running away, they end up at a different temple somewhere,
Okay.
where they come to, similarly how Atreyu ends up at that area with the wall paintings where he sees a story of himself. They come to a place where they actually find the same book that Bastion is reading, the never ending story.
Oh, so there's a book inside a book.
Book inside of a book.
Okay.
But I mean, like, the only thing you see is that it has the medallion.
Okay, okay.
And the Empress, this actually happens in the book. The Empress starts reading the book,
Oh, interesting.
but as she's reading it, all the elements that have happened to Bastion
Alright.
are in the book. So she's
Ah,
reading Bastion running away from the bullies, or Bastion talking to his dad,
but
Bastion running away, or Bastion going to the bookstore and taking the book. And then this is where Bastion starts to, realize, oh, this is all on me now. This is really
so like
actually on me.
he really knows like, oh, okay, I'm the child, I'm the
Right.
human child that needs to save this world.
And then at this point where they're at this new location, that's when Atreyu starts to freak out. And then he's like, what are we supposed to do? And then that's when kind of, in the movie, the Empress explains, oh, like, the hero has always been with you. And that's what, that kind of, I think this is where that element kind of should tie in. And then have the nothing still. This is where the nothing really starts to begin to destroy everything. They're on the verge of getting completely wiped out.
I see.
And this is where the Emperor shouts out, like, help us, and Bastion.
That was very touching
Yeah.
in the movie. But go
Yeah.
on.
And then this is where Bastion has that final moment where he says a name. Did you find a name for us?
Oh, in German, the name is Mondekind. Mondekind.
Okay. That
Mondekind.
sounds.
Mondkind.
I guess the name we could put pin on a name, but
You don't want a little child yelling out Mondekind.
that sounds weird for a child Empress name though.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I don't know what's weirder, Moonchild or Mundekin.
True, very true. But in essence, that whole ending would be Bastion still yelling out that name, and he's able to save it, but with and that keep that scene where like him and the interaction with him and the Empress, where it's all on him. It's about him wishing and him keeping that dream alive and things like that. and he's able to, say restore Fantasia with that.
All right, all right.
And then, but then we close it off with Bastion back in his house, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of have a little more closure to things. He goes back,
To the bookkeeper,
but
maybe.
to the bookkeeper, but in this essence, he's trying to return the book. The bookkeeper's like, I've never had this book before.
Oh,
Like
interesting.
I've never had this
Is he
book.
being coy, or is he like being trying to earn this? Like, oh, this is not my book.
I think it's more on the coy side because
Uh,
it's definitely more because it should be in the element of like, oh, the next person to give the book or send the book off to the next guy is gonna be Bastion. Bastion is gonna Bastion is the next. He's gonna be the holder of the book.
next of kin or
The
something.
next the next kid
Yeah.
is gonna get it from Bastion.
Interesting. All right. So it's like kind of like a legacy.
Right. Yeah.
All
So
right.
and that would be
That'll be
pretty
your end.
much yeah. That
You
would
you
be.
don't want it ending with a giant dragon chasing children down the alleyway,
Oh, I mean, we could throw
like in the
that
movie.
like that could be like one of those post credits, like
I
fun
see. Oh,
little
that would be
thing.
nice. All right. I mean, so your pitch is that the end of your pitch before?
Yes,
All right.
yes, that would be
We were okay.
the how to tie it all together.
I see. I see. From just the way you sounded, I think you want to keep the core story,
Right,
but add more flourishes, add more characters,
a
add
little more
more.
flair.
Exactly. Add more. Yeah, more things to it.
Right.
So I'm assuming your pitch would be a modern. It'll be today.
Yeah, it would
If
be
you
a
made
modern take on it.
any idea who'd you hire as actors?
Actors.
Do you know any good children actors? I don't know any.
Honestly, I've always had a if we're
Stranger Things
going from
kids.
no, not the Stranger Things kids. I mean, they're great actors. Don't get me
They're a little too
wrong.
old now, but
Yeah,
yeah.
they're getting old, and I think ego's getting to their head right
Oh, for
now.
sure.
One kid actor I've really always kind of appreciated was Jacob Tremblay from The Room. He was in The Room
Oh
with
yeah. What
Brie
is he in now?
Larson. He was recently in Good Boys. He was pretty
Yeah.
funny in that.
Okay, so he would be Bastion, or he'd be
I think
Atreyu.
he gives me the most similar vibes of what Bastion would be like.
Would you make a Native American actor be Atreyu, which he's supposed to be?
Absolutely, because
Do,
in my pitch, I want Atreyu to have elements of Native American.
do you realize, like in the first movie, that Atreyu is supposed to be like a Native American,
Right.
but he's filmed by a white kid. In the second movie, it was by a Native American. It's actually by a Native American actor when they
Oh, is
recast
he?
it. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Which is interesting.
So yeah, Atreyu, I would definitely have make it more Native American culture wise.
All right, cool.
And director wise,
Ooh, you have a director.
this was always on my mind while doing this pitch.
Okay.
I kind of want Guillermo del Toro
Oh
to
my gosh,
handle this.
he would kill it.
Because him and like monsters, creatures,
I don't know. Oh,
that
interesting.
fantasy side, I think
He would do an amazing job.
yes.
He'd be a lot more terrifying for sure.
Oh yeah, I
It'd
think,
be
but that's
so scary.
I think that would be perfect as well
Oh,
for this.
interesting. You know, to be honest, Dave, I don't really like your pitch because I honestly I feel like this is a classic. I think honest to God, like it's not. It's honestly like I'm not almost a perfect movie. I have issues with it, but like how many reboots of classic movies can you name that are actually good? I can name only like two on the top of my head. Like what?
Which one?
Planet of the Apes, the series, new series, and Mad Max. Can you think of anything else?
I mean, Mad Max is not a reboot though.
Technically, it's like a soft reboot, but it's not the same actor.
True. All right. Fair.
But like, can you name any other reboots?
Any other reboots?
I mean, I'm putting like, let me list you the bad reboots, like Amazing Spider-Man, Power Rangers, the Mummy movie with Tom Cruise, Fantastic Four, Batman versus Tomb Raider, Ghostbusters. Honestly, I think this movie is good enough.
What about like Ocean's 11? That's technically a reboot.
Yeah, it technically is. Yep, actually, I agree with you there. Have you seen the original with the Rat Pack, the original Ocean's 11?
No, I haven't. But
It is terrible. It's a bunch of old white guys drunk trying to film a movie. It's hilarious.
what about even things like The Italian Job?
Oh, okay. All right.
Even the first Fast and the Furious is kind of a reboot.
Okay, I stand corrected. You know, David, I really enjoy this movie.
Oh, I mean, I think it's a classic. Don't get me wrong.
The whole time I was watching this movie, I'm like, David's crazy. Why is he picking? Like, he's trying to pick fights with people right now. Like, this is a classic. But I see where you're coming from,
Right.
saying that this movie is good, but like with what technology we have today,
Exactly.
we can definitely make it better.
Yeah, I mean, I just think as because it's such a it's heavy on the fantasy. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
that's what it is, and I feel like when I was watching this, it was limited. I mean, I get that, you know,
I do
the
agree.
elements of
Yeah.
it I did enjoy because it everything about it looked like if you know, as a kid you were playing with action figures and you're
I
making your own
see.
world.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
get that, but in today's world, I think like
You could have
it's
done
a
a grander,
it's a fantasy movie. It needs to be out there. There needs to be so much more.
crazier stuff, and just
Like just the fact that in the movie they gotta fly 10,000 miles, and
yes.
that's still not the end of Fantasia. That's
Oh, no,
still
no,
not the end of this world.
Yes.
And let me tell you, 10,000 miles, that's longer than the equator, everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's where I'm coming from with it. I just feel like it deserves a much more epic feel to it.
All right. I mean, I understand that, David, but again,
Right?
I
No,
don't-
yeah.
I disagree. I think this movie is great. I think I said a couple episodes ago, a solid movie should not be over 2 hours long, an hour and 30 minutes at most. This is like an hour and 38 ish. It's a great movie. Like, they could have easily added more. Like, I would have loved it if there were more. If like what I was thinking maybe could have been better is that every time something happened in Fantasia, something similar happened into the real world. Like, every time Atreyu faced the wolf,
Mm,
Bastion is facing his father.
I see.
And eventually, when the Bastion Atreyu kills the wolf, Bastion steps up against his father, saying, "Dad, or you don't know what I'm going through. Stop being a dick. Stop being a jerk," and just like that.
I
But-
think I mean that I feel like you could still add that in, or I mean like that would be like the closing elements of that of whatever I was like kind of
Oh
pitching.
yeah, for sure.
But yes, yes,
Yeah, I mean, David, thank you for giving your pitch. That was definitely well thought out.
yes, very it's much longer than
I do.
anticipated.
I do like my darker pitch where he's in the coma the whole time and he dies in the end. But you know what? I think you should do.
What's that?
I think you should make believe I'm everywhere. Wow. Oh wow. Wait. I'm trying to sing the song. I'm gonna say for turn around.
Oh, did you just sing the wrong lyrics?
I try to sing the second verse into the tone of the first. Look at what you see in her face. I'll stop. All right,
Oh
go.
man. Speaking of that
Is
song,
the answer to the never-ending story. Ah. The look of disdain Dave is giving me. Oh, sorry, Dave. What were you saying? Never-ending story. Ah.
I mean,
I'll
while
stop.
we're on the topic of like reboots and remakes and things like that, I got a chance to quickly start up the new Dark Crystal series on Netflix.
Oh, I didn't even know there was it's a series. Is it a TV show or a movie?
It's a TV show.
Oh wow,
It used to be
a movie with
Was it a movie? I thought it was a TV show back in the day.
Am I thinking of?
You're probably thinking of The Labyrinth.
I am thinking of Labyrinth. No, oh yeah, Dark Crystal is a movie.
Was it a movie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jim Henson.
Yes.
And it was based on a comic, or they made a comic book afterwards, because it was so convoluted and so confusing.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't even know they had a TV show.
Yeah, Netflix did it. It's still with puppetry. Like, because this is when I was watching the reboot show, I was kind of picturing what Neverending Story could be like as well. I mean, they're still using puppets heavily in the show, which is great,
cool.
and I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
But they're able to tie in, CGI, kind of like make elements of it, tie in a little bit more to it.
Kind of like maybe like new Force, where they did have puppetry but added into to make it look more smoother.
Exactly.
But like, I feel like that's a very dangerous road. But you could go like Jurassic Park New World, where.
But like the thing, Jurassic Park was all. I don't think
the new one with Chris Pratt.
the new ones and stuff like it.
It was puppetry,
but
but
it's very. It wasn't not a whole lot.
No,
though.
it was, but it was. They covered with CGI where it didn't even look like puppetry anymore.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's like a very hard mix. How much puppetry or how much CGI do you want to use?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it wasn't authentically the pup. Like you weren't seeing
Uh,
the puppets being
yeah, for
used
what
in
it
that
was.
movie. Like
Yeah.
it was just a stand-in for the CGI,
Mm-hmm.
rather
I
than
see.
like um, what is it like? Say Dark Crystal, where the puppet they're using the puppets.
Yeah.
Like that is the main thing that you're seeing. That is what you're actually seeing. Yeah, so that was definitely it's an interesting story or interesting show.
Interesting.
I'm starting to like it.
All right. Cool. 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 And I just found out that they're filming the last season of Supernatural's coming out, the 15th season.
15th season. I've
Yeah.
never seen this one. So are you like an avid watcher?
No, I it's always on Netflix. It's like I have too much time. It's always in the season we have too much time, and I try to catch up.
Hmm.
But like you know the saying "jumping the shark," where shows like go too far and like it's not fun anymore. This Supernatural has jumped the shark every season. It's gotten to a point where they face God's sister in
Oh,
like season 12 or 11,
what?
and like how do you come back to
What?
fighting God's sister? And the last season it looks like they're facing God again, and like he's not that nice this time. I don't know what's gonna be about, but
Oh man, I guess shows they just when they keep going, it's just like
yeah, I mean this show's been going on for like 15 years, which is super impressive.
that's very impressive. Kudos to CW for creating shows like that, soap opera stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
they know how to make that shows. They
Yeah, like
so
as cheesy as like the whole their own DC universe is like they're doing well.
oh yeah, no, for sure.
Um, any other things that like you're looking forward to? Any other like shows or?
Oh, I think because I know you wanted to pitch this movie for a long time, and I was excited because Stranger Things season 3 came
Oh
out.
yes, that was the main reason why I
Yeah, I
brought it
mean,
back to my memory.
I think we're allowed to talk about it because season
Think
spoiler
so.
free because it's been what it came out it was premiered in July. It's been like 3 months.
Yeah, just about
I think we talked about it here and there, but honestly, Dave, I was kind of disappointed because I felt like it was kind of boring.
for the entire season.
Like it got really like exciting, but I
Mm,
feel like there was a lull. This is really boring because I feel like every time the kids were in trouble, 11 always pulled through. Like
right,
whenever
right,
there was a scary moment, music was being tense, 11 will break through the door.
right.
But the last episode made it for me, David. When Billy, I mean, spoilers alert, when Billy died, sacrificed himself to save 11,
Mhm.
and when 11 couldn't use her powers, I'm like, wow, there's actually like weight to this story.
I really appreciated that. Like when she lost her powers.
Yeah, that was like, oh my gosh, like now, like how are these kids gonna actually survive? Like, there's no hope.
Yes, seriously. I mean, I myself really enjoyed that season. I thought it was better because I had a few issues with season two. I didn't
Uh,
think it was that great.
I love season 2. I think it's the best season.
I think I had a problem with it because they decided to do this quick thing where like they just veered off
Oh, I think they
with the
were,
Eleven's like backstory a little bit,
and
and
with
then
his sisters.
yeah, and all
I
that.
think, I think they were trying to feel out, seeing if they should make another TV series.
Right.
But that was quickly like, no, no one wanted to see anyone
Yeah.
but 11.
And for me, whenever like you do that, it doesn't sit well with me. Like
I
it
see, I
needs
see,
to sit in the within the season or somehow really really tie into that. But
I
that
see.
whole element was just out there,
Yeah, it was
just
kind
like
of
really
weird.
unneeded. But for this one, it was like they kept it in. Everything was closed in,
True. I think
and
for me, my biggest issue was like some of the team ups I didn't really care for. Like honestly, I think 11 and who's Will? Not Will. Who's the guy that he's boyfriends with?
uh, shoot, I forget
Oh
his name.
man, like her boyfriend that they break up and all stuff. Like they're
Yeah.
so insufferable together. But like I wish there was more scenes with her and Hopper together. It's
Oh
like
no, definitely.
yeah.
I love that father daughter relationship between them. I think it's
That's why I love season 2.
r-
It's one of my favorite things ever. And when Hopper quotations dies or disappears in the end of this and 11's reading that letter,
mhm.
oh my gosh, I was dying.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
a big moment.
I think, do you think he's actually dead? I don't think he's dead.
I personally think he's gone.
I think, I hope he's dead because I feel like that'd be a good show. Like
Right,
they
yeah.
only kill B-list characters,
Right.
but if they actually kill off Hopper, he'd be dead. Like in the end credits, you see them in Russia. Not them. You see a prisoner in Russia. And he says, "Oh, don't feed the Demogorgon. They have one themselves, a pale one that's
Hmm.
all grown up. Don't feed them the American. Feed them someone else." And people are like, "Oh, that must be Hopper." And the reason why I could be Hopper is I think. Do you know why? Do you think why do you think the Russians were trying to open that portal?
So they can control whatever's in there, or like get that out there and be able to control it.
I disagree.
What is it?
I think the Russians are trying to open the portal as a way to teleport from Russia to America quicker and easily.
Interesting.
And I feel like that's what the machine was for.
Ah,
It's to open the portal from Russia to there. And that is how that's whoever Hopper ended up in Russia. And that's how he's imprisoned.
uh,
That is
interesting.
my theory. And the Demogorgon is just a result of them messing up.
Well, that's gonna get in. That's a little touchy.
Yeah.
Because I hope Hopper's dead.
Oh, me too. I really hope he's
Yeah,
dead.
I hope he's. I mean, not to sound gloomy, but like
No,
that would make for a better story.
I strongly believe like if a character dies in a TV show or a movie, they should stay dead.
I think, but I do think that somehow, some way, maybe Billy's gonna make a comeback. I think
What? He's so
no,
dead.
that connection, but then his whole connection with the Upside Down, we're gonna see something with that. I feel like part of him is still in that
Oh,
world.
that's still alive? Really? That I've never heard that theory before.
Because I feel like there's definitely elements like we're still missing a lot of people who you know.
They all turn to goop.
I still want to know what happened to Barb.
Oh, you see him? You see her dead?
Is she dead?
She's
Dead?
dead. Dead.
Is she like that?
She's like dead, and she's making her own Netflix movies that are terrible and insulting.
Dead?
No, Justice for Barb.
Wait. Where was she?
In season 1, in the last episode, you see Eleven looking for Barb, and you see her corpse with like larvae coming out of her mouth and her eyes, and
Oh, you're right.
she's so dead.
That's true.
Barb is dead.
True.
But my favorite character of all in the season 3
Yeah.
is definitely Alexis.
Oh yeah, the Russian dude.
Yeah, and the paranoid journalist. What's his name? I don't know his name, but
Which one is?
the guy in the bunker, and I love their relationship.
Oh yeah.
And then Alexis gets gunned down like a dog. I was so heartbroken.
That was pretty
not
sad.
I was not prepared for that.
No, that came out of nowhere.
The last was that the last episode? The last episode just wrecked me.
Yeah.
And you hear the never ending song come up
Right.
when Justin is singing that with his girlfriend.
Dustin.
Dustin is singing that with his girlfriend.
Right.
And I'm like, this is the best movie ever. I love it.
I think a lot of the appreciation for me for this season had to do with all like the 80s callbacks.
Oh, for sure.
Like
Diet Coke, not Diet Coke,
like
Coca Cola,
new
new flavor.
Coca-Cola, like even like
Gap.
certain scenes that they did, even like the that Russian killer dude,
Oh my!
very Terminator.
Here's my least favorite part. I'm like, what is discount
Like,
Terminator doing here?
Exactly. I'm like, oh, this guy's supposed to be a Terminator. There's like a lot of like 80s tropes that you get
I
get into
thought he was an experiment. I honestly thought we'll see his wrist and we'll see like number
Oh.
1 or 2. I'm like, why is this guy freakishly strong for no reason?
Yeah, but no, he's just some weird
Just-
dude.
Yeah. Hmm. So what do you want to see happen before we wrap up? We're past an hour. What do you think season 4 is going to be like?
Ooh, season 4.
What's your pitch for season 4?
Hmm.
Pitch it for me right
I
now.
think-
No preparation.
I think the big thing is definitely seeing 11 kind of cope with, no powers. Or I think they're gonna. I can see this is where they start to bring back the connection to her sister whole thing from season 2.
Yeah.
I can see that happening since she's gonna be gone now.
Okay.
She's not in what's the town they live in?
I have no idea.
She's no longer there. She's living with Will.
I thought she's living with her aunt.
No. She
Why would she live with her Will, not her aunt?
what's her name?
Winona Ryder.
Winona Ryder
Yeah.
decided that she left with her.
Oh, I thought she was just dropping off to her aunts. I mean, we don't know for sure.
Yeah, we don't know for sure,
Yeah.
but like I think they're gonna be somehow. I think Will definitely. I want him to have like a bigger story.
He was
'Cause
great in season 3.
I think there's a missing aspect of he's still connected to the Upside Down.
Oh,
So I
okay.
think that that's the whole aspect of it that we're gonna get into or
I
tap
see.
into.
Okay.
Because I think they're gonna be able to bring something out in him. Or because ever since season one, my whole end game theory was that it's gonna be Will versus 11.
Ooh, that is interesting. So does Will start developing powers or
Or
something?
yeah, or his like the Demogorgon or whatever
Yeah, yeah.
the whole monster thing. I think he becomes a little bit more and more like he might develop more powers, or he's
Interesting.
able to
Oh,
tap into that
okay.
a little bit more.
But oh, okay. You see Will's frustration in season 3, so it's not coming out of nowhere. Interesting.
Yes. And other than that, the other kids, I think, they're just going to be kids and things like
Mm.
that. So I think it's definitely, I want it to be much more Will and 11 heavy.
All right. Okay.
What about you? What are you thinking?
I don't have really thoughts. I thought it'd be nice to have a season during Christmas.
Mm,
Yeah. So this, I don't. Season 2 was in Halloween. This
uh,
season was like during the summer.
right.
I think season 4 should be like because not Will, 11 and her boyfriend. Oh, I forgot his name, but he's probably one of my least favorite characters. Like said, oh, I'll meet you during Christmas. So it'd be nice that she comes back to town. She's changed. She can speak better,
Uh,
and like it's in Christmas time, and like I don't know. It's like
season one was in Christmas, right?
no, it ends in Christmas.
Oh, it ends at Christmas. Okay.
I have no idea what season 1 is like during the summer or something or school year. But yeah, I think Christmas time it'd be nice. Mall Santas, more 90s stuff. I mean, one thing I really like this season 3 is I love good product placement, and like they made the product placement amazing. Like it's not subtle, but like subtle enough where you're like, that's hilarious.
Uh-huh.
Like it's like peachy keen. And I don't know, season 4. What's something crazy that I want to see? Oh, I want to see Papa come back.
Interesting.
I think
Interesting.
I think the writers want people to think that's what's his name, Hopper in prison. I think it's Papa. I think it's the person that got 11's like father.
I see. I also think maybe it could be that crazy journalist.
Oh, you think they kidnapped him?
I mean, cause like you don't know how far into the future that is. You don't know
True, true, true.
if that's right after or like during.
Oh,
You don't know like
okay.
if it's a time jump.
Interesting.
And like he's one of the few guys who actually knows a lot about that whole thing.
So he went like too deep in and got
Yeah,
caught.
exactly.
All right. Do you think it'll take place in Russia? Do you think the kids are gonna go to Russia for some reason?
I don't know how, but maybe.
I don't know. That'd
I
be
don't.
so boring.
I don't think that they'd be able to. I feel like that'd be hard
Yeah.
to have a bunch of kids just in Russia just doing whatever they want.
No, that'd be terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're well over time. Thank you, David,
Yes.
for sharing your pitch.
Oh wait, I do want to see more of Maya Hawk.
What's my hawk?
Maya Hawk.
Oh,
Just her.
oh, she was great.
She was
you know,
great.
you
I
know
liked it.
who her parents are?
Yeah, Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman.
I did not know they had children together.
Yeah,
Like, she's great in this.
awesome. And she was also in what's that? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, she was.
Yeah.
Which is another interesting movie that we can talk about next time.
Oh yes, for sure.
I mean, David, thank you for sharing your pitch. Where can they find us?
So, you guys can always find us on Anchor.fm.
Yes. We're in multiple different podcasts now.
Now we're on Spotify, Google Podcasts,
Apple.
iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, Stitcher,
Breaker, Overcast, Radio Public. Never heard of these, but you could find us there.
But I mean, if you just go to Anchor.fm/pitch it, it lists out all the sites that we're on. If you have any thoughts, if you didn't like my pitch, if you want to add to my pitch, if you want to give us some pointers on our own podcasts, if you have any thoughts on our podcast, please email us at drpitchit@gmail.com.
Yes.
Please do. But yeah.
Thank you, David.
No problem.
Turn around. Look at what you see. All right, guys.
So yeah, we're still working on the
In
sign
her
off.
face.
But yes, we'll see you guys for the next episode. Thank you guys for listening.
Yes. Sorry, David. All right. See you guys later. Reese's Pieces.